If you think that the hardest part of the Camino de Santiago is walking, well, you're wrong. I walked the Portuguese coastal way from Porto. It took me 10 days to cover 380 kilometers. It wasn't easy, so in this video I'm gonna share with you a few things that I wish someone had told me before my Camino. Hi, my name is Katya, and in this channel I talk about my immigrant life in Portugal, traveling and building the life of my dreams. Don't forget to follow along, and let's get into the Camino tips. When I started my path from Porto, it was everything I dreamed of. Hours of peaceful walking through forests and along coastal paths, hearing nothing but my footsteps and the ocean. It was exactly what I needed and what I expected to get from the Camino. But the moment I crossed the border with Spain, everything changed. By pilgrim rules, to get your Compostela, you have to walk at least 100 kilometers. So if you follow the Portuguese coastal path, this 100 kilometers start in Spain, very close to the border with Portugal. So this last 100 kilometers in Spain were completely different from days of walking in Portugal. There wasn't a single minute when I was truly alone. The path was full of people, so every few minutes you'd say "Bien Camino." At some point I even started walking before the sunrise, so I could steal a few precious, quiet minutes for myself. And it's not that I'm somehow antisocial or something like that. No, I actually met some amazing people along the way, and you should too. You should make some friends, meet some people, have occasional conversations. But for me, the journey was deeply personal, so I really wanted to have this part of the day just for myself. So if you're planning to walk the Camino, and especially this last 100 kilometers, be ready to see the crowds. Before starting your Camino, you can find a lot of training plans, how to prepare, how to train yourself, how to start walking with a backpack, without a backpack. But honestly, I don't think you can be fully prepared, but it's okay because you start training as you go. My first few days were exhausting. Everything was hurting, and at the end of the day I would fully cover myself with this anti-inflammatory gel just to not feel this pain. But by the third day my body already started adapting and it became much easier. One thing about me is that I really hate climbing hills, which is funny because I actually live in Lisbon, but after a few days on Camino I barely noticed that I was going uphill. So if you keep walking, your body starts adapting and it gets easier day by day. But one thing that really helps during this first few days is to keep your backpack light. You don't need more than 2 sets of clothes. You can do the laundry by the end of the day. You also should know that sometimes in north of Spain and Portugal it is quite humid, so your clothes might not dry overnight. That's why you actually need 2 sets of clothes. If one is still wet in the morning, you have a dry backup. And believe me, there is nothing more uncomfortable on the Camino than walking in wet socks. Speaking of comfort, good sleep is extremely important while you're on the path. You will share rooms with strangers, you will hear people snoring, and sometimes in some albergues the lights never go off. So bring earplugs and eye mask, and don't underestimate how much good sleep can improve your days. Another thing I learned quickly: don't book your accommodation in advance. The Camino has its own rhythm, and trust me, you will want flexibility. Some days you will feel strong and walk further than planned. Other days you'll be tired or in pain and want to stop earlier. I usually booked accommodation in the morning for the same evening, so I knew where I'd sleep, but I still had that freedom to adjust. Also, if you can, keep 2 or 3 extra days at the end of your trip. Sometimes you'll want to stay in a town a bit longer or take a rest day. It's nice to have that buffer. And don't underestimate the weather. In a single day, I walked through fog, rain, and hot sun. Layers are your best friends. You need to be able to change quickly as the weather changes. And yes, even during summer, it can become cold and rainy. I also learned that not every challenge is physical. Honestly, some days are harder mentally than physically. Especially around day 3 or 4, when the initial excitement dips, you're more tired and there's still a long way to go. I had moments of asking myself, why the hell am I even doing this? But remember that pushing through these hard days is worth it. After that, the joy of walking comes back even stronger. The Camino is full of surprises. Some albergues are unforgettable, warm, welcoming, with great showers and coffee in the morning. So it's totally worth researching some must-stay spots in advance. And actually, you don't have to stay in albergues. I booked some hostels on Booking, and one night I even treated myself to a hotel with a huge bath. So it's completely up to you and your budget. One other thing no one told me: you will see people walking towards you. They've already reached Santiago and decided to walk back. At first I was very surprised. Why wouldn't they just take a bus or plane back after walking so much. And you know, by the time I reached Santiago, I actually understood. It's addictive. At some point, you just don't want it to end. You want to keep walking. That's why people return, and sometimes every year. I honestly considering doing it again, but maybe this time a different road. So if you have a recommendation which path I should take next, leave a comment down below. And if you've already walked Camino de Santiago, I would love to hear your experience. Let me know if there was something that you didn't expect on the way. Buen camino, and I'll see you in the next video.